Hello and welcome to Mission Viewfinder. Today we're going to be talking about challenges in the mission field. Now the reason why is because way back when we started this YouTube channel, which was like over 2 years ago, which is also hard to believe, we were looking for content ideas, and so we asked people if they had any questions. And our good friend Katie sent us an email with about 22 questions or something like that. And we're almost to the end of that. Obviously we haven't used them all in all the videos, but we've been working through them ever so slowly. And she asked, how do you deal with challenges when you're in the mission field? And how does that work? So today we're going to be talking about that. First, we're just going to kind of list off some of the different types of challenges. And then we're going to go a little bit more in depth on how we can deal with those. And I think this applies not just for missionaries in the foreign field, although some of these are specific to being in a foreign field, but really for all of us, how to deal with the challenges that we face in life. Let's go.
There are cultural challenges, like when you're quite sure that your friend said that they were going to go with you, but they actually meant they were not going to go with you.
And there are logistical challenges, like those times that the remote for our truck just doesn't work and we can't do what we need to do or want to do.
Or health challenges, like when you find yourself sick and mostly just busy trying to get well and you get almost nothing else done.
Also, there can be financial challenges, like not knowing how we're going to pay for an unexpected need or crisis that comes up. Or maybe at the beginning of the month, there isn't enough money to get through to the end of the month, and we wonder, how is God going to provide for this one?
There's also challenges with other people. Those interpersonal challenges where, like, maybe when you said something sarcastically and the person got, really offended. Yeah, don't worry. It wasn't him. He's actually still my best friend.
There's also those mental challenges that happen between our ears, like those thoughts of doubt and fear and uncertainty, and I'm not perfect, am I even fit to be a missionary? Is he even able to use me? Why am I not seeing all the fruit that I thought I was going to have? Those things that go around in between our ears that most people never even know are going on.
And there's also those challenges with work, like when you really thought you were doing it right when you hit record on that camera, and then you look at the footage later and it was completely blown out. And you feel so bad about it.
There's also spiritual challenges, maybe very subtle temptations or very direct attacks that Satan uses either directly on us or through other people to try and discourage and break down his work. Like the time that I realized so directly that Satan was fighting against me because he didn't want that video to get finished.
So there was a lot of different kinds of challenges. And to go into how do we deal with these, I'm going to start out with the one about work, actually. And aside from the little experience that I mentioned about taking the video and all being blown out, and I was totally feeling frustrated with myself and helpless and hopeless and whatnot, another experience that I look back on as being really significant in my experience was when I first got to Thailand. I was asked to teach English, and that was not something I'd ever done before. I'd never been in a classroom really as a student even in my life. And so I was really overwhelmed. I was drowning in this experience, and essentially what ended up happening was almost every single day I would come back from classes, and I finished teaching around noon, and I would get back home and I'd go outside to some quiet place and I would just pray and cry and pray and cry almost every day. And really honestly, I think one thing that I can say for sure, absolute, for every single one of these different challenges we've talked about is cry out to God. Pray as much as you need to. You can't pray too much. Pray, ask God for help, and He will be there. I didn't find God's help in the way that I was hoping for right away, but God was there. He was with me, He was helping me. And looking at some of the others, like health struggles and cultural struggles and interpersonal struggles, in every single one of these cases, whether it was one of those or the work thing, there was, I would say, two main things that were really needed in those situations. Number one was a trust in God, dependence on Him. Lord, how do I deal with this? Because it's not easy. A lot of times it's not pretty. We need God. But the other thing was going to God and saying, Lord, what do I do? What do I practically do? Yes, I need first of all, that complete dependence and total surrender and trust in Him, but what part do I play? When it comes to being sick, what part do I need to play to cooperate with His healing power? Maybe it means that I need to have absolutely no sugar for however long it needs to be, or I need to be resting a lot more, exercising a lot more, drinking a lot more water, whatever. I need to cooperate with that, and I need the wisdom to know what that is, what that is that I need to do. Or, in a cultural context, it'd be, Lord, give me wisdom, give me understanding of what these people mean and how they think, and that it's not all wrong, but it's different, and I need wisdom to know how to understand this and how to respond. Or it could be an interpersonal relationship problem where you just need God's wisdom to know how to go to the person, how to mend the wounds that were made, how to make things right, how to do your absolute best to heal that relationship. So trust in God, absolute dependence on Him for help, but then also, at least for these four especially that I can think of, is asking for that practical wisdom, applicable action that needs to take place to help in those situations. And He will give it to you, because He promised in James 1:5, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him.
There are two things that logistical and financial challenges have in common, and that is that there isn't a lot you can do about it. Now, just before I go any further, when I'm talking about financial, I'm speaking specifically to situations of volunteer missionaries, as in you depend on God for your money. You don't have, a paycheck, or you're not a business missionary, etc. That idea, just so we're all clear on that. So they both, logistical and financial, have the thing in common that you can't really do much about it. Like when the truck remote, wasn't working, I was doing the best I could to get it fixed, but there still wasn't anything I could do to just make it, happen. So in those situations, it's a lot less about what's happening on the outside and a lot more about what's happening inside. And it's really just a matter of, okay, I'm going to try and look at this from God's perspective. God knows best. I don't know how He sees it exactly, but I'm going to choose to trust Him that He knows what He's doing and that He's not going to, abandon me. God didn't call us over here to be missionaries to abandon us. That's not who He is. And so just kind of developing that faith and trust, and just choosing to say, okay, Lord, I'm just going to trust You because You are worthy to be trusted. Now, with mental challenges, there's two main things I want to share. One is that we have a duty to guard our mind, and what we dwell on, what we behold, what we look at, what we think about changes who we are. So if I'm always thinking negative thoughts, then I will become more negative myself. And it just keeps going in that direction. That's a principle in 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18, that by beholding or looking at, we are changed. So if I'm looking at the world, if I'm looking at everything the world offers, whether it be media or books or, whatever it happens to be, if that's what I'm looking at, that's what I will become. And so if I'm, beholding things that are doubtful, casting doubt on God, the way God looks at me and all of that, then of course I'm gonna deal with issues like that. So cutting those things out and being sure to fill our mind with profitable things that are gonna help us have positive thoughts and a positive outlook on life. The second is, if we're having a lot of thoughts questioning God's love for us, or His, if He's really going to come through for us, or things like that, it's an identity issue many times. I know for me, I've realized that I really struggle with identifying myself as a son of God. Like, if I really identify as a son of God, then I'm not going to be questioning whether my Father loves me. Simple as that. Or that He's going to help me in my challenges. So again, beholding him, but also what comes to mind is Isaiah 26 verse 3 says, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee." You know what, friends? If our minds are fixed on Jesus and stayed on Jesus, and we're looking into him, the author and finisher of our faith, then a lot of those thoughts and challenges in between our ears are going to disappear as we have Jesus at the center of our thoughts, of our mind, and on the throne of our hearts. When it comes to spiritual attacks, we have to remember that we can't fight Satan of ourselves. There's just no way. We have to be, as it says in Ephesians 6, we have to have the armor of God. And I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not, go read it. Ephesians 6, 10 through 18 is the main part. But we have to be prepared and ready with God's armor to resist, as it says in James 4. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. But we have to be drawing nigh to God before the devil comes in order for him to leave when we resist. The other thing to think about is when we're seeing those attacks from Satan, and those attacks, whether it be through people or outside or circumstances against the work here or even, against us personally, recognize that it's less about Satan attacking me and more about Satan attacking God and his work. I'm just here, I'm a soldier for Jesus, and Satan doesn't like that because he doesn't like what God is doing. So when we face stuff like that, if we keep in mind that it's not my problem, it's God's problem, and I can just trust God that he's going to take care of it. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know all of that stuff, but I can trust God and really, stick with him. And I don't know about you, but Jesus had lots of challenges, and I want to deal with the challenges in my life that are not as big as his, like he did, so that his love and his character can be shined forth, that his name can be lifted up and glorified among the heathen, wherever he calls us to be.
All right, friends, that's all for today. If you want to help us out and be blessed at the same time, we're going to put a little playlist at the end of this video about real, everyday, raw missionary life. Go check it out, go watch some of those videos, and we will see you next week here on Mission Viewfinder. God bless.